If you've ever applied to a job before, whether that was second shooting or an assistant role on Second Society or even on a Facebook group, and you've kind of just fell into this black hole of void and never heard back, I want you to know exactly why that might be happening. Let's dive into it. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Second Society podcast. My name is Jimmy Lick, owner of Second Society and also owner of Roar Film Co., a destination wedding videography company. And I just want to say I've been in your shoes where I've applied to multiple second shooting jobs and haven't heard anything back. And also just from like getting leads in, you give them this beautiful email back and excited to shoot their wedding and you just hear nothing back. And you're like, what the heck did I do wrong? Like, is it my style? Is it a word that I said? And I'm constantly like rethinking the structure of my emails so that they speak better to the client. And I'm trying to build so much trust within one email. And that's kind of hard to do. And so I wanted to just kind of dissect what I do when I'm looking for an assistant, in particular, this luxury wedding that's kind of coming up. There's like multiple points in an application that I kind of look through of like trust points, right? Like things where I'm seeing and I'm like, okay, I can trust that person. Oh, okay, I can really trust that person. And then there's a couple of points later down the road of you're like, dude, this is the one, right? So let's kind of dive into the experience that I kind of went through and the things that I'm looking in when looking for an assistant, or even when it comes down to a second shooter, especially somebody who I've never worked with before, never met in my life. How does that person get onto my team? So without further ado, let's kind of dive into this. So I want to reiterate, for this wedding, I needed a third shooter because it's more of a luxury wedding. The guest count is about 200 plus, and there's a couple of different events going on throughout the wedding that I really think having a third shooter there is really going to be helpful. So even just, transitions from ceremony to cocktail hour, I want to be able to capture that with drone and capture that with the camera. And so having a third shooter move all of the tripods and the audio from ceremony to reception is just so helpful, right? It's a few $100 to invest in a third shooter or an assistant, but the level and the caliber of the wedding is just so much better when you're able to capture footage throughout the whole day and not have to move things around and run around and all that kind of stuff. It's just a really good look from a planner's perspective and from the client's perspective to see like, oh, okay, I hired someone who is very professional and who has a team backing him. Like that's what people who are in the luxury space are investing in, right? They're investing in that experience. So the better experience you can provide, it's always going to go better for you in the long run. So when I was hiring this shooter, which I'll reveal at the end here, I posted on Second Society. I got about 7 applicants in. And so as I'm looking through all the applicants, I'm looking at every single person's profile and just getting an immediate gauge on their work through the thumbnails, and then through their portfolio. And so I'm looking for somebody's film who obviously matches my style the best, somebody who has really good color grading, and somebody who knows how to use a Ronin well and tell a story well. So those are kind of the main things I'm looking for when it comes to portfolio. Then I kind of move on to the bio, reading what they're about, what their experience is like, and then who they've worked with. And this particular person named 2 people that I highly respect in the industry. So I know that like if they've gotten hired there, that's probably going to be good for me. So third, I'm going to their Instagram and just seeing what their world looks like, right? Like Instagram is a really good snapshot of like the amount of experience that they've had. If their entire Instagram is filled with weddings that are at venues that I've shot at, working with photographers that I've worked with, that gives me a pretty good idea that like they're well known in the industry, that they can handle themselves in the caliber of weddings that I shoot in. And so right there, I know that he's going to be a good asset to the team and he's going to be able to at least like replicate my brand and my style. And then the fourth point would just be like his vibe and the way that he speaks, the way that he carries himself. So that comes down to a call. And so I actually hit him up, I think a little bit earlier than I was intending to actually call him. And I caught him in the middle of dad duty. And it was just really cool because I'm also a dad and I know what that feels like. But just to hear him on the phone and be like, hey man, I'm on dad duty right now, but I can definitely talk for a few minutes. And I'm like, dude, that's perfect. I don't need much time. Just want to hear about your experience. Like, hey, how long have you been in the wedding industry? Tell me about your experience working with the people that you have worked with in the past. And just being able to hear how he's worked and what he's done and what their experience was working with him, like it just kind of breaks that barrier and allows me to like feel like I can actually trust him on the wedding day. And you can get a vibe from somebody pretty quickly. You can feel like you're going to be good friends on the day, or they're going to suck the air out of the room. And on this particular case, it felt like he could actually carry himself. He could come up with jokes on the spot. We could actually chat and enjoy each other's company. And for me, that's like one of the most important things, right? Somebody that I can actually work with and have fun with. And so like once I felt really comfortable with him on the phone, I knew that his work was good enough. I knew that he's been in the industry long enough and has worked with planners before that I respect. Then it's a good deal, right? And like what I'm charging, I know that he is worth about 3x that. And so that's kind of what I'm looking for too, right? Like I'm looking for somebody who I should probably be paying, $150 to $200 an hour for their time, but they're willing to come on and work with me and just be part of what I'm doing and the experience that they get out of it. Like they're willing to sacrifice a little bit of what their actual pay rate should be. That's what you want. Like I should be able to invest because I'm taking a risk bringing on somebody I've never worked with before. And I know that they're worth more than that. It's a good investment for me to bring them on, right? So like, even though I'm kind of taking a risk, I'm kind of not, because they've been able to show that they have the experience and that they're going to knock it out of the park. And so just to recap and also show you the shooter that I chose was Louis Chong. Again, it was his style that I kind of vibed with. It felt like a good fit for me. Then I was reading into his bio to kind of see what his experience was like, who this guy was as a person and as a human. Then seeing who they worked with in the past is always good, and especially if they have reviews that you can see from past companies that they've worked with. That's always a good thing. Then being able to see their Instagram and being able to see like, okay, this guy has worked full time in weddings for a couple of years now at least. And then finally the call, just making sure that you can vibe with them, making sure that they talk well, that they can carry a conversation. Like I've shot with some second shooters that just don't know how to speak and they're kind of timid, and that's not good for my brand. Like it doesn't work. And so that's exactly why we built Second Society, is so that we could find experienced, available second shooters, assistants who are actually awesome people who are willing to serve above and beyond for companies and gain experience in the wedding industry and help all of each other grow to the next level. So if you're not on Second Society yet, hop on there, secondsociety.io. There's a discount code below, and yeah, we'll see you for the next episode.